line. Let's talk about air travel and the busy summer travel season right now, which is going strong, and airports are certainly crowded, and flight delays can raise anyone's stress level. There are ways to make the journey a whole lot smoother, and joining us now is best-selling author and seasoned road warrior Brandon Blewett, who is sharing practical advice on staying calm and avoiding the common travel mistakes. Brandon, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. We're glad to talk about this. Obviously, a lot of people are traveling this time of year. Families are trying to get those last-minute summer travel trips in before the kids have to head back to school. So we're seeing a lot of full airports and plenty of delays this summer, especially here in Atlanta. Certainly lots of delays because of weather. What's the biggest mistakes travelers can make in the moment they find out their flight has been delayed or canceled?
I think panic. I think the best thing that you can do is calm down, realize these are situations that are outside your control, and then see if there's alternatives, right? If there's a delay to your flight because of a mechanical issue, if you're in Atlanta, there may be 3 or 4 or 5 flights after yours that are going to that same destination, or maybe there's a nearby airport. And if you're proactive and you go to a gate agent with a solution already in hand, a lot of times they're able to make those changes for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously things happen, and so hopefully they can make those changes. It's unfortunate, though, when on a Sunday when you have a couple of ground stops and you have lots of flights delayed, some flights canceled, every flight becomes full, and then you're waiting a day or two to be able to get where you're going. And unfortunately, when those delays and cancellations pile up, a lot of folks can end up having those airport meltdowns. We've seen a lot of those on social media. How can travelers mentally prepare for a stressful travel day so that they don't end up and making it either on the news right here on Fox 5 or in general on social media?
I think that with air travel, generally speaking, especially in the summer, just lower your expectations, right? And I say that in jest, but think about it. There are summer storms everywhere that are going to impact flights. It is summertime, so not only are there business travelers, but there's families, so it's crowded, so it's hot. So when you go into the experience, I would say mentally prepare yourself as though you're going to Costco on a Saturday or a Sunday, right? Sometimes when you go into those situations expecting the lines to be long, the parking lot to be a mess, when those things happen, you're prepared and you don't react as negatively. Whereas, if you're expecting it to be, at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday at Costco, that's not going to be the same experience, especially in the summer.
I feel like I was being called out there because I go on a Saturday at 3 p.m. every single week, it seems like, and I wonder why it's so busy because, everyone had the same idea. Let's go at the same time on a weekend. Let's talk about your book real quick, 6 Habits of a Highly Annoying Traveler. You talks about including, in your book you included that. What are some of those most annoying habits that you found?
I think the most annoying as it relates to invading your physical space is what I call the backpack wrecking crew. Think of somebody that walks on the plane with a large backpack or maybe a satchel on their side, and they think the plane aisle is, time to spin around like we're in a Zumba class. Well, everybody that's sitting in the aisle seat now has a black eye. So I find myself very much so gauging what bags people have on their backs and maybe leaning in, not too close to my seat neighbors so that they're annoyed. But I think that one is probably the most annoying. And if everybody would just hold their bag in front of them as they get on the plane, I think that creates a little more spatial awareness of what your bag is doing to other passengers. But I'd say the most frequent one is what I call the eager exiter, and that's the plane gets into the gate, the seatbelt sign goes off, and everybody just makes a bum rush to put their bags in the aisle. And it's just frustrating because there are people that are probably in rows 11, 12 that need to go back to row 15 to get their bags, and all we're doing is just extending the deplaning process. And I've actually seen a few airlines and airports, their X accounts calling people out for this. So hopefully that will help to send the message across.
Yeah, I mean, the one you said about getting hit by the bag while they're walking down the aisle, I did that. I had that happen to me just a couple weeks ago when I was heading to a wedding in California. Hit me right in the face. Very annoying because the person clearly knew it was on the back of their back, and they're still just swinging it around like it's no one's business. And then it hits me, and they were like, "Oh, did it hit you?" And then didn't really even say I'm sorry, but I digress.
Didn't even give you a drink? I mean, come on.
Let's talk about this real quick, since we have just a little bit of time left. If you could give viewers one piece of advice before they head out to the airport for the remainder of the summer, or even as they get ready for the Thanksgiving and Christmas travel periods in just a couple of months, what would it be?
Prepare. I would do two things. When you're at home, make sure you get sleep the night before and you are hydrated, you have a meal in you. You're going to be in a better mood when you get to the airport. And then I would say control the things that you can. Check the time it will take you to commute to the airport. Plan your commute accordingly. Look for a parking spot. Reserve that ahead of time. Understand how long it's going to take you to get from the garage or a lot to the terminal. And then take a look at what TSA wait times are at the airport. A lot of times that is available to you. Add that all up and then maybe just put 30 to 45 minutes on top of that. And that's going to help you alleviate a lot of the stress associated with getting to the airport and making sure you get on your plane.
Brandon, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Travel author Brandon Blewett, appreciate your time talking about this as folks try to get that final summer trip in before the kids head back to school, or just that summer trip in before you have to go to work and have to make that money. But I appreciate it, Brandon. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. Yep.